Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. I have another Phantom Knights video for you guys. Actually, I'm super excited to show this to you today because it is sort of an update. I'm not actually going to show you I'm not going to go through a deck profile. I'm just going to say that the only difference that I made was I took out Shade Brigadine and we added an extra card. I actually decided to test out the third copy of Tour Guide. Um, I think two might still be correct, but I still wanted to play it at three just to just to open up at least like a have a better chance of opening up like one of our two really powerful starters being Torn Scales and Tour Guide. So I decided to play the third copy just to try it out at least for a bit. I didn't think it was wrong. I just thought that maybe, and I still kind of stand by that this is the weaker, it's not the weaker, it's more fragile to hand traps, but I still think that it's definitely, worth a shot to at least play it at three. And then we took out Shade Brigadine and we added two cards. So the deck went up to 44 cards in the main deck. We added the Phantom Knights rank up. This card actually allowed our end board to be even more powerful, because not only did we add these two cards, but we added two cards in the extra deck. Because I cut Brigadine, there was no point in playing Link Spider, and I took out Almirage as well. And now we have two cards in the extra deck for the rank up spell, and those two cards are Ophion and Nightmare, Evil Swarm Nightmare. So turn if you don't know what you're playing against, you're gonna make Evil Swarm Nightmare. Actually, what I really like about the rank up is that you can actually wait, right? So you can wait. You could have this set, wait to see what your opponent's playing, and then depending on what they're playing, you can make the the decision of either going into Evil Swarm Nightmare or Ophion. And what's really cool is that this attaches itself as material to your XZs. So even if you go with Evil Swarm Nightmare, you're still gonna have the two bucks, which is really nice. And then Ophion says that while this card has an Xyz material, level 5 or higher monsters cannot be special summoned. So that's actually really good against certain matchups. Like, it's good against Virtual World, it's good against Thunder Dragons, it's good against Infernobles, it's good against, I don't know, Adamanticators. It's good against, like, it just has, like, it's a really good floodgate effect that really shuts down a lot of decks. So let us get into some test hands. Okay, I want to show you guys some test hands. Hopefully, I open up well for you guys, and we don't have the curse of the YouTube curse, right? Opening up bricky hands all the time. No, but usually when I do test hands, they usually come out pretty decent. So, and this deck is fairly consistent as well. Like I showed you guys in the previous video. If you have not checked out the previous video, please do. I showcase what two level 3s can do. I showcase what Torn Scales can do, what it does for the deck. Again, the only difference with the deck profile I posted yesterday is that we took out Shade Brigadine and we added a tour guide. So we have three tour guides, and then we also added the rank up spell, because that rank up spell, man, it like, even if we draw it, it's actually not that bad. So anyway, let's get into our first test hand. We have Psychic Wielder, good extender. We have Imperm, we got our hand trap, we have Seer, Red Eyes, and Foolish. Okay, so Foolish actually saved us because what's crazy is that I always draw Red Eyes Black Dragon. It's not even Dark Magician. I always draw the Red Eyes, which is crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna show you guys. So, oops, I dropped my cards there. So I'm gonna show you guys what you can. So we're basically playing with these two cards. So let me just show you. I like opening up. I don't like it, but I just like to showcase that you can play with these really, really awkward hands sometimes. So we're going to activate the Foolish. We are going to send our Rhoda, which is Cloak. Okay. Zoom out. Look, I got cards everywhere, so excuse me. Let me just move that stuff out of the frame a little bit. Should have cleaned up a bit, but yeah, that's I know many can relate. So anyway, so Foolish the Cloak. We're gonna banish the Cloak, and we're gonna search our Torn Scales. Okay, and we're gonna normal summon Torn Scales. We're going to activate the effect. We're gonna send that Seer, and we are going to send. I think we're going to send Gloves here for sure. Yeah, there's nothing else that we can really send because we're actually going to get access to Boots later on. You could send the Boots now, or you could send Gloves. It's really up to you. Then we're going to special the Wielder. We're going to go into our extra deck. We're going to go into Cherubini, the MVP. We're going to activate Cherubini's effect. We're going to send the Graph. All right. To gain the attack, new chain, Graph triggers. To special summon the Seer. Oh, by the way, you saw we opened up Seer. That's why we played 2. We're going to link these 2 off into the main dog, Bardiche. We're going to trigger that Seer to summon our Cherubini back. Okay, then we're going to activate the effect of, excuse me, I always bump into my tripod. The effect of Bardiche, we're going to send our Boots. So you could have done this like in a different order. You could have sent Boots first and then Gloves later with Bardiche. It's up to you. Okay, so then from here, we're going to banish the Boots. Okay, we're going to send a Fogblade. This is why I like Fogblade a lot, man. Fogblade at 3 in this deck. Just because, you know, it has that reborn effect. It's a really good extender. Boots just becomes a really good extender because of Blade. So because we banished Gloves, because we banished Gloves, we're going to be able to summon the Torn Scale. And then because we sent that Fogblade, we're going to banish the Fogblade to summon the Boots. And then from here, guys, so... Oh, my God, that's a terrible habit. So I totally forgot to set off Bardiche. We activated its effect to set. I always think oh, okay, the Foolish is like its effect, its main effect, but I completely forgot to set this. So we set the Phantom Knights. So there's with the hand we opened up, we pretty much only played with Foolish and the Wielder. So we didn't open up any extra extenders because we had to use the Foolish as another Rhoda to get Torn Scales. So we basically opened up with, and we actually had to use the Cloak prematurely because usually if we opened up Wielder and Torn Scales, like if we hard drew Torn Scales or Rhoda, actual Rhoda, then we would have been able to save Cloak's effect to search for the Boots, and then Boots would have acted as our additional extender. But because we had to use the Cloak again prematurely because we just had a really awkward hand, that's why we didn't have a additional extender. So we can't end on the best board possible, but we can end on something pretty good. So from here we set the Phantom, the rank up of Bardiche. And then we're going to overlay these 2. We're going to overlay into our... so there's 2 plays you can do, but because we set this, there's one... So if you set the Fogblade, you could have went Levier here, summoned back Cloak, went into Verte, right? Went into Verte, and then just ended with... You would have ended with Dragoon plus 2 Fogblades, and you would have recycled the Cloak. So that's the I guess the pros of having, or it's just a single pro of just having Cloak back in the grave, and having an extra of monster negate in the form of your Fogblade. But in this scenario, what I would do, because this still allows us for additional disruptions, so we're gonna actually summon the Breaksword. We're gonna use Bardiche to pop our own Breaksword, and then Breaksword's going to summon these two back, and then we're going to link these two off for our Verte. Okay, and then we're going to use Verte's effect. We're going to send the Red Eyes Fusion, right? We're just going to send Dark Magician, Red Eyes Fusion, and our Red Eyes from our hand, unfortunately, because we did draw it. And then we're going to summon the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And then from here, we're going to banish the Boots, lastly. And we're going to add a Fog Blade. Okay, so we're going to set the Imperm. We're going to keep the Fog Blade in hand because the Fog Blade we're going to discard off Dragoon, so that way we can banish it to summon the Phantom Knight's Breaksword back. So we're going to keep this in hand. So we end with this. So we end with a Dragoon and an Imperm, but this board gets so much stronger on our opponent's turn because when our opponent goes, after we negate with Dragoon, we're going to be able to banish the Fog Blade, summon the Breaksword, right? And then we could go like Chainlink 1 Bardiche, Chainlink 2 Torn Scales. We could summon back the Torn Scales now, or you could just keep it in the grave because it doesn't really do anything if we summon it now. So we'll just activate Breaksword to pop a card they control. So, okay, so that's negate a pop, and then after that resolves, or, you know, you could go Chainlink 1, then Chainlink 2, and then, you know, you're going to activate this, targeting the Breaksword, and then you're going to summon your Nightmare, or alternatively, you can summon Ophion. So if you're going against some deck that relies on high-level monsters, like Synchro monsters and just like main deck monsters, then Ophion is definitely going to be a very, very strong option. And then so you've popped a card, you negated with Dragoon, we have an Imperm, and then we have again Ophion, or we have 2 Book of Moons, which is very powerful. So yeah, that was so before we would end with if you guys like watch the previous video, we would end with like IP, right? IP that would give us a 2 negate Appaloosa plus Dragoon plus Fog Blade, and then plus we'd get the pop with Bardiche because we'd be able to summon this back. Now the board ends with, well, in this case, we didn't open up like that optimal, but if we did open up like a bit more decent, we actually would have been able to end with the IP as well. So on top of this board, we would have had a 2 negate Appaloosa as well. So you would have had 2 negate Appaloosa, 2 Book of Moons, a pop, Dragoon, and then whatever else you drew. If you drew Imperm, if you drew, but it's like 6 interruptions, which is crazy, crazy good. So yeah, that was it for test hand number 1. Again, it wasn't like, it was okay. It was okay. I think it's still very powerful. Like if we actually, you know, do the combo uninterrupted like we did, it actually ends with, what did I give us? That gave us, Dragoon was 1 interruption, a pop with Bardiche, 2 interruptions, and then 2 Book of Moons. That's pretty good. So we still had 4 interruptions with that wonky hand. Okay, so let's do another test hand. So, but again, it does show you, like, if we didn't play the rank up spell, that would have been a set Fog Blade. But I feel like Ophion or 2 Book of Moons are better than just a set Fog Blade, in my opinion. Alright guys, so here is test hand number 2. No red eyes. So, nice, okay. Tour Guide, Boots. Okay, so I should have said no red eyes and no Dark Magician, but it's all good. Alright, this is pretty good, man. So, that 5th card. I feel like our 5th card in the last hand was Foolish, which saved us. And I wouldn't say this card saved us, but this is actually the extender that that will actually allow us to chain block the Tour Guide. It's our only extender that could actually chain block Tour Guide, so that's really nice that we drew this. But it's a 3 of in the deck. So we're going to normal summon Tour Guide, Chainlink 1 Tour Guide, Chainlink 2 Kagemucha. Alright, so if they have Ash or Ogre, they wouldn't be able to hit this. So then we're going to resolve Tour Guide to summon the Graph. I love actually. So Tour Guide is actually she's an insane normal summon because she allows us to skip a step, kind of. So what I mean by that is we actually, instead of using Cherubini's effect, instead of using the cost to send Graph, we can actually send a Phantom Knights monster, which is like insanely better. Um, so and then so we don't have to send Graph. We could actually, we're gonna get Graph's effect anyway as soon as we link off. So we're gonna link into Cherubini again. Then Graph is gonna activate. We're gonna summon the Seer. So this is really good because the only way we'd get to this point is if we actually used Cherubini's effect to send the Graph for cost. But again, Tour Guide is just insanely awesome, especially when you draw with Kagamucha. So now we're going to activate Cherubini's effect. We're going to send for cost. In this case, we're going to send, well, it doesn't matter which order you send it, but, I'll just send the Cloak. I'll just send the Cloak first, and then we're going to link these two off. We're going to go into Bardiche. This is actually going to be the full combo, and you guys will see in a sec. So we're going to activate the effect of Seer after we linked it off to summon back the Cherubini, and then we're going to use Bardiche's effect. We're going to send the Torn Scales. We're going to set the rank up. Okay, we're going to set the rank up. And now we're going to banish the Cloak. Okay. We're going to banish Cloak to search our boots. And then that's going to trigger the Torn Scales Engrave, special summon. And now we're going to activate the Torn Scales. To be honest, it's not necessary that you have to activate it. But I mean, actually, yeah, it does. It does because we need the boots in the grave. So, we're not like relying on its effect to mill or to send from the deck to the grave. I actually needed the discard, so the cost. I needed to the cost was actually more important than the actual effect. So we're gonna send the boots. Because it was boots, obviously. So we're gonna send the boots, and we'll just send. We're gonna get Cloak back. I mean, I guess I could just send Gloves again. Or we could send Reeves, but we don't really need Reeves right now, so I'll just send the Gloves. Doesn't really matter what you send. Again, it was in that particular situation, it was actually the cost that was more important. But anyway, so after that, we're gonna Xyz, and this is where we actually get the full value of like our pretty much our entire play. We get so much value because we're going to be able to not only make the Levier, but we're going to make the Break Sword as well. So we're going to use Levier, summon back the Cloak from the Banished Zone, so that way we can recycle it for next turn. So we're going to special the boots, and then we're going to summon our Break Sword. Bardiche is going to trigger to pop the Break Sword. Okay, sending it to the graveyard. Break Sword triggers to summon these two back. Doesn't have to be these two, just any two Phantom Knights. And then we're going to link off into our IP. And then we're going to link these two off into our Verte. Wow, that was definitely a really good hand. That just shows you the power of Tour Guide. Like, Tour Guide has so much power. That was insane. Tour Guide plus Kagamucha just gives us so much value. So anyway, from here, I am going to banish the boots. All right, and we're gonna add the Fog Blade. This is actually a Fog Blade that we're gonna be able to use, just because we have the gloves. So we're gonna banish the gloves, and gloves is actually gonna we're gonna send a Fog Blade, so that way we don't have to rely on getting this Fog Blade to the grave. We're going to have one for sure. And we don't have to keep it in hand to negate with Dragoon. But we still drew the Dark Magician. That's crazy. So we're going to use the effect of of Verte. We're gonna send the Red Eyes Fusion, pay that 2k. Send Dark Magician, send the Red Eyes, summon Dragoon. So this is our end board. Our end board is actually pretty insane. We have a Fog Blade, we have the rank up spell, we have an IP. So again, during our opponent's turn, we're going to IP these two for a 2-negate Appaloosa. Okay, going to have a 2-negate Appaloosa. So 1, 2 negates, and then we have the negate with Dragoon. We could pitch the Tour Guide. We have the negate with Fog Blade. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions. This is actually a 7 interruption board, which is insane. And then we're going to banish the Fog Blade. So whenever our opponent tries to do anything else, we could banish the Fog Blade, summon that Breaksword. Bardiche triggers, pops a card. Okay, so that's our 6th interruption. And again, it doesn't have to be, I'm just like I'm counting the interruptions, but this doesn't have to be in this order, obviously. You know, it just depends on how your opponent plays and what you want to respond to. So then we could activate the rank up spell, and again, we could either go into our Nightmare, our Evil Swarm Nightmare, or our Evil Swarm Ophion. It's pretty cool that we're playing 2 Evil Swarm monsters in the extra deck, and it's nice that we have the space in the extra deck, so that way we're able to combat different matchups. So like, say like you're going against like a heavy link deck, you could summon the Nightmare and then book their monsters so that way they can't link. And then if you know you're again against like Virtual World, against Infernoble, against like any deck that relies on level 5 or higher monsters, this is really good. So guys, let's just end it here. I know that was only 2 test hands, but I just mainly wanted to showcase just the updated deck. It was a very slight update, but it was slight in terms of like the card difference, in terms of like what was actually changed, but it was extremely impactful. Like, as you can see, we ended from just having the pop. We're actually utilizing that extra deck monster, the Breaksword, after it comes back. We're using it to go into a 2 more interruptions in the form of Nightmare, or a Floodgate in the form of Ophion. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think, as always. Appreciate the feedback that I received on my last 2 videos, the Virtual World video as well as the Phantom Knights video. Please, guys, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Would appreciate your feedback. Thank you guys again for watching. Take care and peace.